Kia ora everyone, welcome to These Guys Got Next, our NBA basketball podcast where we dissect the NBA and deliver our takes and analysis from the bench. I'm Elijah Fa'afiu, he's Ravindu Pathirana. Ravi, as always, checking in with you. How's everything going this week?
Yeah, man, love it. Friday night today, so not usually recording on a Friday. It's pretty rare because both of us got a couple of busy weekends. But yeah, glad the week's over, mate. How about you?
Yeah, couldn't think of a better way to end the week than doing the pod with you, Rav.
Love it.
You and I have both busy weekends ahead, but as always, we're going to get stuck straight into it. A lot to talk about regarding the NBA, and let's just begin with the Western Conference because things are heating up over there. The Thunder, they're safe; they've booked their spot in the playoffs. But behind them, there's just a whole lot of chaos going on, and everyone's shuffling for positions, particularly for that second seed, which is quite heated at the moment. The gap from second to 11th is actually closer from the gap to first to second, which tells you how dominant the Thunder have been this season, and how tight it is behind them, and everyone's fighting for playoff spots. You've got the Houston Rockets, the Denver Nuggets, the Los Angeles Lakers, and the Memphis Grizzlies, all separated by 2 games as they're all fighting for that second seed. I guess throwing it to you, Rav, what's your take on this whole race? Who do you see standing out? Who's impressed you as of late? What do you make of this whole race for the second seed in the West?
Yeah, look, we've always known the West is, I guess, unpredictable. It has been for some years now, and this is just a testament to how it is. Even with the newer generation taking over the NBA, the West still hasn't changed. So very, very competitive games. Like this 3 weeks, been filled with a lot of competitive games, feeling playoff esque, and it's almost around that. Right, it's about that time. So yeah, looking forward to that. But anyways, I think one of the teams that I've been impressed with the most is just the Houston Rockets. They've won 8 in a row now. The fourth team to hold the second seed since the All Star break. So again, shows to go how crazy the Western Conferences, and yeah, it's pretty insane. Like the way these guys are performing, the fact that they have so many options to fall back on. Unfortunately, Armin Thompson's out for a couple of weeks, just off a sprained left ankle. But yeah, man, like this, the streak has just have them flying. They're top five in offense and defense, so which is unbelievable to see. Another team, the Nuggets. We know the Nuggets what they do, but they pull off an upset against the Warriors. I thought behind Aaron Gordon and Russell Westbrook. Yeah, what do you make of that game?
Yeah, that was a huge confidence boosting win for the Nuggets, especially when they didn't have Jokic and Murray, who are both dealing with ankle issues at the moment, and then Christian Brown was also missing from that contest. I think it goes to show the importance of having Aaron Gordon in your squad. He had 38 points in that contest, which is the most he's scored as a Nugget. But he's missed 29 games this season, so you'd think that if he was playing in those games, where would the Nuggets actually be in the West? Would they be a lot closer to the Thunder? Would they be outright second right now? Yeah, I guess the big issue for the Nuggets is consistency. So they had a little 9 game win streak last month. Since then, they've only won back to back games once, which means they've won, lost, won, lost. They've been going back and forth. So they're at that point of the season where they need to start putting the streak together, getting some wins going, especially when a lot of the teams around them are starting to put some streaks together, like the aforementioned Houston Rockets. So we'll see what happens there. What about the Lakers? What's your take on how they're going, or how they've been going, especially with LeBron currently sidelined with his groin strain?
I guess the Tres Leches, if you were to call it, of Luca Reeves and Dalton Connect. Dalton Connect not so much, but more Reeves and Luca. They've been carrying the load, which is very impressive. And I don't know, it's just hard to gauge this team. Like maybe easier for some, but for me, I don't know, it's been a little bit difficult to gauge them because again of their inconsistency, how they mesh with everybody on the court. Like yes, LeBron elevates everybody, but yeah, there's a few question marks for me that might cause some issues when it comes to playoff time. But yeah, they're shooting more threes, which is great. It's what JJ Redick wanted early on as well, and especially with a person to draw some double teams. So Luca is doing that. for this team, which is opening up a lot of looks for the other guys. But yeah, really, really interested to see how this will play out, especially come playoff time. I don't know if you saw that video of, was it today, I believe? LeBron is coming back from this hamstring injury or groin strain rather,
Yeah, that'll be
but he
huge.
did, yeah, full court sprints with a dunk in between five of them. So yeah, maybe he's closer than we'd expect.
And I mean, as long as they have Bronny James scoring as he's been going, big game against the Bucks, he actually led the team alongside Dalton Connect with 17 points apiece in that contest. So yeah, we'll see how everything shapes together once LeBron is back for the Lakers. And I guess the fourth team in this race, the team who I think is slowly falling off the pace a little bit is the Memphis Grizzlies. Their big issue really is making sure they've got their big three on the court together: Jaren Jackson, and Desmond Bain. They all need to be clicking at the same time, especially come playoff time. And they've still got issues with their rebounding and defense as well. But look, they're a young, hungry team. So once everyone's back on court, then I'm sure they can definitely give some of these other teams a run for their money. But we haven't even mentioned teams like the Warriors and the Clippers and the Timberwolves who are in this race as well. Like one of these teams could potentially sneak in there in the top four, or even snatch a second seed with less than a month to go in the regular season. I'm going to put you on the spot. Who do you think comes out with the second seed?
Oh, I'm gonna stick with the Rockets, man. It's just the way they've been performing. Even though Armin Thompson's out, they've still got other guys. Like Tari Eason's been stepping up lately as well, so it's good to see that these guys are have so much depth. So I'm gonna stick with the Rockets. You'd go for anyone else, or how do you reckon?
I actually think once LeBron's back, I think the Lakers are going to have a late run. I think I actually think the Lakers have been playing well without the LeBron, but they need LeBron,
Yeah,
and LeBron's going to give them a huge boost. I think defensively they've improved. You can credit guys like Dorian Finney-Smith and Jared Vanderbilt and Gabe Vincent. Like that depth off the bench has really helped them out. And I think Luka's pretty much found. I think he's found his comfort with the Lakers now. Like he's found his comfort within the system and his teammates around him. So
yeah,
I think once LeBron comes back into the frame, I can see them making a late run, a late charge for their second seed. But we'll see what happens because
yeah.
the West is very, very exciting.
Never thought
Let's
you'd give Gabe Vincent a positive shout out, just
hey,
as with his history.
all he had to do was show up. He's actually shown up this season.
Yeah.
So good on, congrats to Gabe Vincent. I know for a podcast with two Clippers fans, we've been very, very unbiased towards our own team, which I mean credit to us for doing so. But now's our chance to give the Clippers the credit that I think they deserve, especially with the big win they had this week over the Cleveland Cavaliers, 132 to 119. Huge, big efforts from Kawhi, Zubac, and James Harden, and even Bogdan Bogdanovic as well. I guess what did you take away from that win? Because that's probably one of those season defining wins if you're the LA Clippers.
Yeah, man. I think probably the best game of the season, in my opinion. Anyway, I had the Rockets Warriors one in November as the best one so far, but this one was unbelievable. Just to see Kawhi play at that level that he did, like at probably close to his peak in 2019. Just the way he carried that Toronto team, and this is a reminiscent of that. Just the way he was interrupting the Cavs' offense with his defensive ability and just knowing where to be on certain plays. Like he had 4 steals on the game, like that's pretty typically tends to fly under the radar. Just because his offensive showing, what, 33 points and 7 rebounds on 63% was just unbelievable, man. And big shout out to Zoo. Like we knew he had a big season in him. And especially having James Harden there at the point just definitely opened up so much for me at about 28 and 20 on his 28th birthday, mind you, on 72% from the field and probably against the best front court in the league. I'd say from a defensive standpoint, when you look at Jared Allen and Evan Mobley, and man, he was just dismantling them, bro. Just being there at the right place at the right time was just such a good watch. And like Harden, yeah, 22 and 9, but I think he shot like 20%, just under 30%. So if Harden gets a shot going, this is a very dangerous team, and we are heating up at the right time too.
And just talking on Zubac, I mean that guy deserves a ton of flowers for the way he's been going this season. I don't think he's gotten enough credit for how good he's been this season. Probably someone who could have been in that All-Star conversation, or was probably on the bubble. But I mean, especially just the current 9 game stretch, he's averaging 22.6 points, 12.7 rebounds, 3.1 assists. The Clips are 7-2, and they're outscoring teams by 16.9 points per 100 possessions when Zubac is on the court. So he is a big impact player as of late, but pretty much the entire season he's been playing like this. And I think it's time, hopefully the national audience over in America are getting an idea of how good Zubac is, and hopefully he gets to show that come playoff time. Which brings me to this question: can you see the Clippers beating a top 4 seed in the first round of the playoffs? Because, like, as much as I love the Clippers, I don't think they'll snatch a top 4 seed, but I do think they can cause some trouble for one of the top teams in the West. How do you see things?
Look, I'm going to be hopeful because the biggest question mark around the Clippers is health. Right, that especially for Kawhi, and he is a key as shown by this game. So I think if Kawhi can stay healthy, I definitely think they could take a deep, possibly win in 6 or 7 against a top 4 seed. But yeah, man, like I know you said the Dallas Mavericks at that time would be the worst 8th seed to face, but I'm gonna go out on a limb, and I'm just gonna say it's the Clippers. Like just the way they've assembled this squad, like the versatility of the guys, the defense they have as well. Like shout out to Chris Dunn, man. Like doesn't get a lot of love because Dyson Daniels is just having an unbelievable season. Chris Dunn, the dungeon as they call it, is second in the league in steals. So yeah, I back him. I back him to make it out of the first round, but it'll take a 6 or 7 game series.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think which teams in the West they could cause trouble in, because they've got the experience, the Clippers. They've got the playoff experience.
Yeah.
I think if they come up against a young team, like, I can see them causing the Rockets trouble, just because the Rockets don't have that experience that the Clippers do. The Thunder, I think just the Thunder are too good at the moment. If we're talking about the Nuggets, Lakers, then I think the Nuggets and Lakers might have the edge there. But if they come up against a team like the Rockets, then I can definitely see the Clippers causing a young team like that some trouble. And like, you look across the versatility of that roster, like Bogdan Bogdanovic has been a great acquire since the trade deadline. Ben Simmons, when he decides to suit up, he can offer something come postseason. Derek Jones Jr. has been playing his part outstandingly, particularly on the defensive end this season. And then Norm Powell has just come back from injury. He's only played in a few games since the All-Star break because of a hamstring, I believe. So he's just ramping back up at the moment. Once he's fully healthy, he can be a huge scorer off the bench. And then obviously a veteran head like Nicholas Batum as well. So, yeah, you're right. I can definitely see them being the one team I wouldn't want to face come playoff time. But yeah, we'll see what happens. And the Clippers are 24-6 at home this season. So the wall is working. It's been working this season. How about that?
Yeah, man, love it. It's yeah. I guess when you really look at those videos and see the amount of chaos that those fans cause, so fair enough, especially down crunch time. I think Evan Mobley missed 2 free throws with like a minute or 2 minutes left in the fourth, which would have given them a bit of an advantage. And yeah, you just see the crowd are up, commentators getting behind, and the players just getting so excited. So when they make it to the playoffs, this will just be a cool atmosphere to be around.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, opponents this season are shooting 75.6% when they're shooting towards the wall, but that percentage is the same around the entire arena. So I guess they've got you might as well call the whole stadium the wall, because it's having an impact on opponents. So yeah, can't wait to see what Intuit Dome looks like come playoff time. But yeah, enough showing love to our Clippers. We got to start being a little bit unbiased here, Rav. But just a brief mention on the Cavs, because I think I might have cursed the Cavs a little bit last week. Last episode, I talked about whether they were still being disrespected after clinching their spot in the playoffs. They have a 3 game losing streak at the moment. So, and that dates back to when I cursed the Bucks, and I said that their defense was improving, and then they went on a 3 game losing streak that week. I did put a reverse curse on the Grizzlies because they were struggling, and then they went on the 4 game win streak that week. So I might have to be a little bit careful about what I say about certain teams, and hopefully I haven't cursed the Clippers
Yeah, I was just about to
Anyway,
say, hopefully we haven't jinxed our boys. So,
yeah,
yeah,
okay,
fingers
fingers
crossed.
crossed. Let's just
I
move on
mean,
real quick
yeah,
before
yeah. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Indiana Pacers. Let's put a curse on them.
Yeah.
Crazy late game finishes from those guys. We've already talked about that Tyrese Halliburton 4-point play against the Bucks. That was a phenomenal clutch play there. But this week they added a couple more. Obi Toppin his fading three against the Timberwolves in overtime, which snapped the T-Wolves 8-game win streak. That was a huge play. And then against the Mavs as well, they were trailing by 7 with just over a minute to go. Forced a late turnover on Max Christie, and Andrew Nemhard hit that go-ahead three. I guess when you look at the Pacers, they're currently fourth in the East right now, just behind the Knicks, a few games behind the Knicks. How do you see this team coming together come playoff time? Because they were Eastern Conference finalists last season. Can you see these guys making a similar run? Where do you think they stand right now in the Eastern Conference?
Yeah, I don't think they'll go back to the conference finals again. Maybe a second round. I'd say definitely a second round. They've got enough depth, like Obi Toppin stepping up. We've got TJ, good veteran experience in there. Like a couple of good acquisitions, like Thomas Bryant off the trade deadline as well, which was awesome to see. And like Benedict Mathurin, man, like he had even today. Like speaking of close games, they went to OT and beat the Nets. Yeah, it's just good to see guys stepping up like Halliburton's out at the moment. But it's good to see this versatility again, like we mentioned with the Rockets, right? A lot of young guys stepping up when they need to, helping the team out. So hopefully they can make a deep push. But yeah, it's just a matter of these guys, like the starters and stuff, being healthy, just and making a decent run before the playoffs begin.
Well, because the bench is actually they've had their moments, but I
Mm,
think their bench needs to improve come playoff time. Because last season they had some amazing depth. They were the top scoring bench unit in the NBA. This season they're currently ninth. Since the start of the new year, they have a plus minus of minus 83 when they have less than four of their starters in the lineup. So you definitely want more out of guys like Mathurin and McConnell and Toppin. But they have shown this week in parts that they can contribute. I think it's just putting it all together, especially come playoff time. And you look at a potential 4-5 matchup, it will probably be the Pacers Bucks, which would actually be quite a fun series
yeah,
to watch, given what we've already seen from those two teams this season. So we'll see how things goes with the Indiana Pacers. I think Tyrese Halliburton is set to come back at some point as well
yeah,
from the injury he's dealing with. One team who has been struggling as of late, particularly once they traded away their franchise guy, is the Miami Heat. As of recording, they've lost 9 in a row, which is the longest streak in the Eric Spoelstra era, and they've fallen to 10th. So they're right there in the play-in tournament. 4-16 since the Jimmy Butler trade. What's happening in Miami? What's the heat like? You talk about heat culture in Miami. Heat culture is just in the dumps right now. I don't know what's happening over there.
mate, it's gone deep in the dumps. Like this is horrific. Like the fourth quarter play, I think since February 1, their point difference is a minus 130, which they
They're getting
don't have.
crushed.
Who's closing out games? Like Jimmy Butler used to be that guy when he played to go out and close out the games. But like even though Andrew Wiggins has scored the second highest points through 10 games in Heat history, just behind LeBron,
That's a crazy stat.
that's unbelievable. Yeah, given the the caliber of players that have come through the Heat. But yeah, man, it's interesting. Like, who's going to take reins when it comes down to these close games? Like, I feel like they're still figuring it out. Unlike Butler and the Warriors, because those boys are thriving. And Butler had an unbelievable block today, in I guess in clutch time against the Raptors as well. So yeah, he is having the last laugh. But it is tough being a Miami Heat fan, as one of our boys put it up recently, especially when Cade Cunningham had that bank three. Yeah, tough times for them.
Yeah, and I think Wiggins is the key for them to start winning again. But he's only played in 11 of the 19 games that he's been available since he joined Miami. So health has been a big issue there. And you talk about the awful fourth quarter play with Miami. they've lost 18 games this season where they've held a double-digit lead, which is tied for the Utah Jazz for the most. That like so they're losing, they're getting crushed in the fourth quarter, but they just can't hold on to wins. So like you would think guys like Bam and Tyler, who I think are doing their jobs, but then behind them, where's the supporting cast?
Yeah.
I think is the big question. We've got like a young guy like Kalal Ware on that team, like a Jaime Jaquez off the bench, Duncan Robinson, Davion Mitchell as well. Like you sort of want one or two of those guys to sort of step up, especially with the Heat falling down the Eastern Conference ladder, because they're going to be fighting for a play-in spot right now,
Yeah.
the way things are going. So, yeah,
And look, they
no,
don't
I think
have Jimmy like they did in the previous seasons, right? To take them from the eighth seed to put the team on his back in crunch time. So, yeah, they're just going to have to figure something out ASAP because the team's in trouble right now.
maybe Andrew Wiggins is the guy. He's going
Who
to take them to
knows?
the finals.
Yeah, Maple
Former
Jordan,
All-Star starter Andrew Wiggins.
former first number one overall pick, Andrew
That
Wiggins.
stat is still crazy that he scored more points in his first 10 games as a Heat player than anyone else except for LeBron. Like Jimmy Butler had, so Wiggins has scored 193 in his first 10 games. LeBron 223, so he's far far and away
Short,
ahead.
yeah.
Jimmy Butler 187, and then D Wade had 130, but he was a rookie obviously, so it would have taken a bit of time for him to adapt. But anyway, hopefully things can turn around for Miami. In terms of other observations, I just want to touch on the game of the week personally, the Utah Jazz against the Washington Wizards, or as I've dubbed it, the Capture the Flag Cup, which is won by, well, the Jazz won the game, but I think the Wizards actually won the cup because
Yeah.
they're the ones tanking, right?
I mean, in saying that they've beaten the
Funny,
Nuggets, right? Like 2-0, so
yeah, Wizards have
tanking.
been weird this season. Yeah,
Yeah.
a very weird team to watch this season.
Yeah.
But there's some funny stat lines in this game. So to start with, there was no Laurie Markkinen and John Collins for the Jazz. There was no Chris Middleton, Malcolm Brogdon, Kaishawn George for the Wizards, and then Bilal Coulibaly and Corey Kispert are all out for the season. So both teams have already started tanking there. Colin Sexton for the Jazz had 18 points, 7 from 8 shooting, and then immediately was taken off, sent to the bench because he was playing too well. Walker Kessler, 7 points, 5 rebounds in 15 minutes, taken off because he was playing too well. The MVP of the game, Jordan Poole, in 20 minutes, 2 points on 1 from 11 shooting, 0 from 9 from 3. So Jordan Poole, how good? How good from Jordan Poole? Oh my God.
Captures the flag, MVP. That is
I'm trying to,
unbelievable.
yeah, I'm trying to remember where the game was, whether it was in Utah or Washington. Regardless, he must have told the baddies not to show up.
Yeah, or the stadium just held the baddies from coming in.
Yeah, for sure. They kept him in the bleachers or something. They said, don't come in the front row, otherwise Jordan Poole's going to play well. But
Yeah.
that is amazing. So the Wizards have won. They've reclaimed the NBA's worst record. They've got the inside track to get Olmec Cooper flag. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that game up because how good. Just the
It's unbelievable, mate.
ultimate tanking experience.
Peak NBA basketball.
Oh, for
This
sure,
is
for sure. We're at that stage of the season now where we're going to get weird games and we're going to get weird stat lines. Just like this week, Mr. Sandro Mamukelashvili from the Spurs.
it's
If
not
you're
a bad
wondering who,
pronunciation.
yeah, I've learned a bit of Georgian this
Yeah.
week. If that's the first time hearing his name, it's probably the same for us as well. But he's the only player in NBA history with 34 points, 9 rebounds, and under 20 minutes in a game, that is an insane shift to put in a limited amount of time. And the Spurs went on to beat the Knicks 120 to 105. Did you catch highlights of the game? I saw that little bit of post match of him and Flavor Flav in the post match interview, but. How
No,
good
but
when you got
actually,
a random
that's one of the
player?
games I missed this week. I didn't even catch the highlights for that, unfortunately. But was that the game Tracy Morgan was throwing up on court side?
No,
Maybe?
there was
No?
another game in the
Yeah.
next year because I think it was the Knicks home game
Yeah.
where Tracy
Yeah, it was,
Morgan
yeah.
spewed up on the court.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, wasn't able to catch this one.
No, fair enough. But I mean, at least you caught Tracy Morgan
Yeah.
taking a yak on the front
Yeah.
court. I mean, I saw a post from Tracy Morgan saying that the Knicks are 1-0 when he spews up on the court. So hey, there's that at
Got
least.
got to do what you got to do, man.
Anything else stand out for you this week in terms of stat lines or anything else that stood out to you in the NBA?
Jalen Williams, not the Jalen, it's the Jalen with the I, had a second triple double against the 76ers on 19 points, 17 balls, and 11 assists. So shout out to him on the absence of Shea and Chet and Co. So yeah, shout out to him as well, getting a triple double. But other than that, man, like not overly much. It's just obviously there's a couple of things we'll touch base on. It's quite hilarious. Before we do so, Quentin Grimes, keep doing you, man. Like hell of a spotlight right now. In the absence of Tyrese Maxey, and dropped 46 points, unfortunately, in that loss to Houston, where Şengün just had the tip in to win the game. But yeah, he scored over 25 points in 7 of his last 8 outings. In one of those games, he had like 6 points or something. But still, in terms of upside, trading Quentin Grimes for Caleb Martin, like Nico Harrison, what are you doing, mate? Like, that's what I got to say.
Jeez, that might be the biggest. That might be the worst trade that Nico Harrison has made this season. I couldn't think of any other worst trade he's made this season.
Mate, no. I mean, speaking.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, there
Like,
was the Luka trade. Maybe maybe
yeah,
that might take the cake. Yeah,
yeah. But in saying that,
but
like,
how good for
speaking of,
yeah.
like, yeah, Mavs downfall. But go, carry on. Go, I was just going to say.
Now I was gonna say Quentin Grimes. Like it's amazing to see. Like when we did the season preview for the Mavs, I was like, this is the guy to keep an eye on. Like he's got mad potential as a 3-and-D guy. But he's shown as of late that he's more than just a 3-and-D guy. Like he's actually an actual scorer. He can take control of a team. And obviously, the Sixers season is pretty much dead. Like it's pretty much over now. But we look towards next season when everyone's back fully healthy. You got Tyrese Maxey, Embiid if he gets healthy again. I'm not sure what's going to happen with Paul
I
George,
mean,
but you throw Quinn and Grimes in there, and the Sixers they look good. And if they hold on to their first round pick, who they get out of that, you got Jaron McCain coming back, who had a strong rookie campaign this season. Like the future in Philly looks solid at least when you've got a guy like Quincy Grimes, and I'm sure the Mavs are going to be regretting things at the moment.
yeah, for sure. Potentially, maybe a decision they have to make as well with 3 point guards there, right? We've got Tyrese, Jared McCain, and now Quentin Grimes playing well. But again, I don't know if you've seen, bro, like the Joel Embiid could be forced into retirement because of some medical thing that they're doing because he hasn't been healthy for a long time. So who knows if he comes back? I know PG's probably going to get shipped off for a bag of chips.
That must have broken your heart to break that news
Yeah,
about Joel
yeah,
Embiid, man.
absolutely devastated, man. Absolutely devastated. But I mean, look.
On
Speaking
the
of, yeah, go. I was just going to say the Mavs
no,
downfall, like
yeah, I was
that.
just going to bring that up too. Yeah, I don't know who's going to play for the Mavs for the rest of the season because right now they're down to 8 active players. They've got a whole hospital over in Dallas. Kyrie, Gafford, Exum, AD, Lively, Jaden Hardy, Caleb Martin are all injured at the moment. Half those guys are out for the season. It could get to a point where the Mavs may have to forfeit some games because they just don't have enough players. Like 8 is the minimum you're allowed to have, and it's quite yeah. Like you saw the bit about the tryouts, right? That they're trying to get some. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Mate, this is possibly the biggest fumble I've ever seen in sports history. One of, right? You think this is a team that went to the finals? This is a franchise that went to the finals last year, and to this, like from there to trading away your franchise player, the guy that you trade for getting injured in his first game, and all these guys getting like injured, like Kyrie with the ACL. What the hell is going on in Dallas? Like speaking of those eight players left, like 2 of those guys are on 10-day expiring 10-day contracts. I might add. Like Kessler Edwards, he can be active for 3 more games, and Brandon Williams can be active for 6 more games, and they've got like a month left to go of play. So this is humiliating. Like Nico Harrison should be scared about going out and showing face because of what he's done to this franchise.
I think
Like
the basketball
unbelievable.
gods have just punished Nico and the Mavs for making the Luka trade. I think that's what's happened there. And I think AD, like, I don't get why they're trying to shut down AD. Like, they pretty much need AD to field a team. So I'm not sure what's going to happen with the
Yeah.
Mavs.
I mean, look, man, they might
Um,
just pick up a Red Joe Blogs off the street and be like, hey, mate, you're playing for the Mavs now. So looks like that's where they're trending.
yeah, we'll see who decides to show up late in the season. And finally, before we go to the quick fire, I just want to bring up Dyson Daniels. His Defensive Player of the Year campaign is taking shape. As of recording, 194 steals and counting, which is the most steals in a single season since Chris Paul's 216 in 2008, 2009. The NBA record is Alvin Robertson with 301, which Dyson's not going to catch that. But right now, Dyson does lead the league in steals, obviously. Leads the league in steals and blocks, or stocks, as we like to call them, and deflections as well. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm all aboard the Great Barrier Thief winning Depoy. I don't know about you, Ralph, how you see things, but I'm all in on Dyson at this point.
Yeah, man, me too. Me too. I'm all in that too. That's, yeah, he's a hell of a campaign. So shout out to him and hope he brings it home, really. Like, get as close to Alvin Robinson's number as much as you can because that is ridiculous. 301.
Jeez, and that was in the 80s as well, 85,
Yeah.
86. Jeez, no one could handle back in the 80s. Jeez, everyone's just getting pickpocketed
Yeah.
here and there. Anyway, yeah, we should pretty much move on to the quick fire. Yeah, let's just get stuck in. You ready, Ralph?
Yeah.
Cool. I'll ask you the first question. Here we go. Three, two, one. Ralph, the Mavs are reportedly trying to shut down Anthony Davis for the season. Will he play another game this season?
He'll be forced to. Not he'll be forced to. Look, Eli, it's March Madness. Which team are you picking to win the NCAA tournament?
Duke, like Cooper Flag, like
Yeah.
I think they just got a nice squad going over there. Rav, if Zion Williamson isn't on the Pelicans next season, which team would you like to see him end up on?
I'd like to see him either Charlotte or Atlanta with a couple of good point guards. Eli, which player outside of Cooper Flag should the NBA lottery teams keep an eye out for in the tournament?
Keep an eye on Flag's teammates, Con Knuckle, who's a great 3-point shooter, or Cayman Maluak, who was like a Mark Williams type big man, both top 10 slash lottery potential guys.
Brilliant.
Rav, what's your game of the week?
I'm going next Bucks on Saturday. Yourself?
Warriors Heat, Jimmy Butler's first game
Ooh,
against his old team should be good. And with that, that is pretty much time. And with that, that is our episode 25. Is 25 that's an episode worth
yeah.
celebrating, right?
Yeah,
It's an
man. Yeah,
anniversary
quarter
type.
century. Yeah.
We'll take quarter century.
Yeah.
Hey, well, congrats on 25 episodes, Ralph, and
Likewise.
and thank you for joining us this week. And thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you follow us on Instagram and TikTok and all the other social media platforms that we're on. But until then, we got next and Matiwa.